Having people like Rick Rule, Adrian Day, Brian Lundeen, Byron King, all these guys out on stage, so many great people, and it's wonderful that they're friends of Riverside. They often recommend Riverside on stage, and we get to meet them face to face.
Hello there, my friends. Chris Marcus here with you for Arcadia Economics. We are still here at the New Orleans Investment Conference, and one of my favorite things at the New Orleans Investment Conference is catching up with John Mark Staude of Riverside Resources. Great to see you again, as always, and how's the conference been going for you so far?
You know, we love coming to the conference. I think for us, two key things about the conference is connecting with friends, connecting with investors and shareholders, and people we know. Chris, coming to see you is great. The second is the quality of the conference. Having people like Rick Rule, Adrian Day, Brian Lundeen, Byron King, all these guys out on stage, so many great people, and it's wonderful that they're friends of Riverside. They often recommend Riverside on stage, and we get to meet them face to face. We love coming to this conference.
Yeah, and John Mark, like we've been talking about, especially in the metals industry, perhaps more so than anything I remember on Wall Street, it's a small circuit, people know each other, and like you said, all these different folks, I've heard them, the way they speak about you, and which is really a great thing for investors to be seeing that the other folks in the industry, because if someone burns people out there, that comes back, but your reputation and the folks that do business with you, I think, and we'll dig into other stuff with the company, but I think that's really a big part of it. And I know you're a humble guy, but just any thoughts on that? Because that is part of it.
It is. You know, I think it's about reputation. It's about doing good business. And, you know, this is my biggest personal investment. I bought more shares of it just this last week. And what I believe is that if we can build a great company with intrinsic value, that value will be realized for shareholders. And it is about reputation. So we always treat people well. And we wouldn't have been able to get the major partnerships that we've done this year, getting a mega deal with BHP. They're very sophisticated. It took us a year and a half to close that deal. We had to do due diligence, 9 other companies competing with us, and had to help them to diversify into looking for copper in Mexico. So we got through all of that. So yeah, it takes a long time. So you really have to be committed to it, and we're delighted. We made that commitment to shareholders, and fun to be here. Yes.
And you mentioned, as we've been talking throughout the weekend, how you used to be part of BHP, and so again, having relationships in place where you have partners and can do some bigger projects that come along rather than have a great idea but not be able to bring it to market.
Well, I think it's really important we have. I myself spent 10 years working at BHP. When I completed my PhD on the ore deposits of Mexico, I then started to work at Magma Copper, which was quickly purchased by BHP, and then spent 10 years with BHP, working on copper, working in exploration, including working in Chile, Peru, and Mexico. And so for us, it's a real fit. In fact, often in our meetings, we joke that I know more about BHP than the people that are working there now, because I spent 3 or 4 more years than they have in BHP, and I know the data. And with our strategic program with them, we're actually able to get all the data from the past, putting it together with all that Riverside has, and it's allowing for an amazing new collection for BHP to leverage off of their knowledge and ours to make knowledge into something even more valuable.
In terms of some of the projects that you guys are working on, perhaps for some of the folks who may be hearing about Riverside for the first time, or even the longtime shareholders, could you talk about some of the projects and what you guys are out looking for?
So I think one of the exciting projects, and we have a portfolio, is a Cuarentas project. It's a very nice high-grade vein system adjacent to SilverMex, which is SilverCrest, which is a great developing company, super, super good. On the other side is Mercedes Mine, owned by Premier Gold. On the other side is First Majestic, operating Santa Elena. And then to the north is Agnico Eagle, with the development in their mining there is Santa Gertrudis. So Riverside, right in the middle, with those 4 corners in the middle, the Los Cuarentas vein district that Riverside's progressing is a really exciting development. A second one is the progress we're making with our Peñoles project, where we're putting it together and working on a plan of arrangement, and that'll be great for shareholders. For shares of Riverside, get shares of another company. Wonderful. We've also, in this last year, expanded into Canada. Just as we told shareholders we would, we've delivered on our promises. We try to under-promise and over-deliver. We've now generated a whole portfolio, 3 going forward gold projects in Ontario with drive-up access. we really like working in Canada. We know Canada. It fits for where Riverside skill sets are.
Is there a favorite area that, I mean, it's nice that you have so much experience. Obviously, we hear about the geopolitical risks and otherwise. Is there a particular area that you like going to for any various reasons?
We really like North America. We like North America in general. It's mining centric. We know where we can work and we're skilled in it. We like speaking Spanish. So for us, Mexico, particularly the state of Sonora. Sonora is about 2/3 the size of the state of Nevada. And Sonora is the equivalent of Nevada for Mexico. It's the mining-friendly state, and we recently have had the president of the Sonoran Mining Cluster, the president of all the Sonoran mining operators. He's joined Riverside. So he's become the VP of Corporate Development. So Riverside has been stepping up our team. We're all about people. So we really like that. We like Ontario. Ontario produces over 35% of the gold of the entire country of Canada. So it's, one of the major provinces for the production. So we go to places that are known, that have the potential. So we de-risk the project by going to the right area and then bringing our skills. So we like both of those areas a lot, yes.
Right, and one of the things that I've been hearing is that the current president of Mexico, perhaps not the most mining-friendly perspective. So how do you handle a challenge like that and keep things safe?
Yeah, so I think first off is that the president speaks, but it isn't necessarily laws. He's not making laws by things he says, just like other presidents that maybe tweet things that aren't necessarily because they're tweeted a law. It's an opinion that's shared, but it's not necessarily the law that's being implemented through tweeting or through a press conference. So it's really important to work with what the laws are, and the laws have not changed. So secondly is that there's processes, and if you follow the law and you follow the process, you can actually work things through. So we're actually finding it's quite fine. So if you get rid of the noise and you focus on what the facts are, it actually is working okay. It's not working great. There's still things that are challenged. But for us, we've modified our business approach. We're working in states in Mexico that are very mining friendly. We're working in ranch land or on private land or on lands that we can work with the people. We're also working in places where we already have the title and we already have all the permits to move them ahead. So those are the type of things. And of course, we've diversified as well into Canada and deploying capital there. We realized that it wasn't so scary for the BHP, the world's largest mining company, and BHP is investing billions of dollars on the petroleum side. They have the joint venture program with Pemex. So Riverside's quite honored. On one side you have Pemex, the petroleum government of Mexico, partnered in alliance with BHP, and the other side with copper with Riverside. Yeah, so I think that for us, working with the president and those things, we're not, it's working for us.
Yeah, and certainly I appreciate you point that out. Good to hear there's some country in the world where their presidential policies are not dictated by their Twitter feed, kind of here like in the U.S. Something that I'd love to hear your comment on. Obviously, we know there's, and perhaps for valid reasons, that there's sometimes hesitation about mining projects because there's have been companies that have gone in and done things that, take advantage of communities. I don't think that the good miners are the ones that stay in business do that, and it's nice to hear the other side of how a lot of industry is built, a lot of jobs are created, and then schools are going up in some of these areas where before there was nothing. So perhaps you could share any thoughts on how that actually plays out.
It actually plays out that Mexico has been the world leader in silver production and mining for 5 centuries. 500 years. So half of a millennia. So we're talking about long term here. So basically Mexico has been able to work and be a major mining center. People operate in mine. It's a major part of the industry. It's a major part of the country. Same in Canada. Canada has only been a country for 125 years, and mining has been the way that things have been developed there. It's always working with the people everywhere we go. We work with all local people. In our programs, we speak the local language, we hire local, we employ local, we buy local, and we integrate that as part of a collaborative development. If you develop projects together, that's where they live. We work it out, we make it work together. It isn't antagonistic, it's collaborative. And I think that's really the future. That's the way Riverside has always been, and that's the way Riverside focuses. So we find it's great, and we go to places that we are invited and can collaboratively work. We don't choose places that are in battle. We don't choose states maybe where they do other things, or where maybe they have, lots of good ski areas. Other thing is great, but we'd like to work, there are not many ski areas out in the deserts of Mexico. Dry, there's no lakes, there's no bears. It's a really easy place to work.
Yeah, and mentioning that, obviously we were talking about Colorado before, which is where I'm living these days, and it's interesting because I hear a lot of folks talk about what could be in the Rockies yet. Nice that you point out just some of the various factors of why people mine in one place versus another. And you have a sample here to show us today.
Yeah, because you can walk out in the Rockies and find rocks that have copper, rocks that are green, and rocks that have metal. In Mexico, we can walk out and see that this rock can actually, within a few years, with the right results, can be developed into a mine. And it has been. In my career, I have seen mines found, developed, and closed, socially and economically beneficial for everyone. And I've seen that time and again in Mexico. And that same time, being an American citizen, growing up in Riverside, California, being educated in the United States, I found that it's been difficult to see these things get permitted, to make it all through. The jobs that are created, the infrastructure that's made, the Project Mulatos, Alamos Gold was a place I began to work. I went with my girlfriend. Now she's my wife of 29 years. We were there a long time, and now it's actually got electricity, it's got paved road, it's got bus service. It used to be a place that had only aircraft into it and certain types of illegal businesses, and now there's legal businesses there, and it's really great. That's the type of positive impact that mining can do. It's done it in Canada, it's done it in Mexico. It's some of the things that did develop in the United States, but maybe a century ago. And today, maybe it's different, but Nevada's going great. So we're delighted to work in places that right now Mexico is a great place. Places we're working are inviting, and it's a great place to mine.
So that's one of the things I appreciate, where you're seeing the different perspectives, not just the perspective of the guy running the company, but realizing, all right, what can I do for the shareholders so that it's a win for them or the community, and that really comes across to me in the year plus now that we've known each other. And perhaps just in wrapping up, you can let folks know where they can get more information or how to reach you guys.
You bet, Chris. So Riverside Resources, we have a website, rivres.com, telephone 778-327-6671. We'd love to have you call us, love to talk to people. Go and look at our YouTube. We'd love to have you have follow-ups.
Well, I'll recommend for folks to do that. It's one of the companies I've liked looking into more. And John Mark, great to catch up with you as always, and we'll do it again soon.
Thanks a lot, Chris. Great to be on the show.